I wanted to come on here and briefly talk about an event that happened last week at the White House. Well, actually, it happened on the outside of the White House, where you have this woman in this picture by the name of Jessica Ford, who rammed her car into the security gate at the White House. Mind you, she was also armed and considered dangerous. Now, she did all of this and was taken in alive, arrested, put into custody, charged with whatever. But get this, this is not the first time she's done something like this. A year ago, she did the same exact thing. And of course, if she did it a year ago and did it today, that means she's still alive. Now I want to transition a little bit over, and I'm going to come back to her, to this woman right here by the name of Miriam Carey. A couple years ago, she drove into the gate. But her story ended a little bit different than Jessica Ford. Actually, the day that happened, her life ended because she was pretty much killed on sight when all of this happened. And she had her daughter in the backseat of the car when this happened. Can you imagine how traumatized her daughter had to be throughout that whole ordeal? They don't know why. They didn't take her in for questioning or anything to ask her why she did what she did. They just killed her right there in front of her child. Now, her child was a toddler because the child was in a car seat and she was driving around, and I think she came from another state. I think that's the only thing that her and Jessica Ford have in common is they both came from different states, because I believe that Jessica Ford was from Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. The only difference is, well, a couple of them is Miriam Carey was black, Jessica Ford is white, Miriam Carey is dead, and Jessica Ford is still alive. And to my knowledge, Miriam Carey only did this one time. This is a repeated offense for Jessica Ford. That's her mugshot right there. And look at the caption. Suspect has lengthy criminal history in Tennessee. Which means she has done some shit in her hometown and decided to come up to the DMV, to DC, and do more shit. And again, she was armed with a gun. But they allowed her to live, to tell her story. Or at least arrest her, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and read this article from CBS News. A woman suspected of ramming her vehicle into a White House security barrier on Friday afternoon has been taken into custody and charged with multiple criminal charges, according to the U.S. Secret Service and local authorities. A law enforcement source identified to CBS the woman arrested in connection with ramming the barricade at the White House today was as Jessica Ford. The White House went on lockdown Friday afternoon when the suspect intentionally drove a white can into a security barrier near the White House. The vehicle did not breach the security barrier and no law enforcement personnel were injured in the incident. The woman, as the source described to CBS Pat Milton and later confirmed by the Secret Service, was known to the Secret Service. She has been charged with numerous criminal violations. The Secret Service has had previous encounters with the female in the vicinity of the White House, resulting in numerous arrests for a variety of criminal violations. It sounds like to me that she did this more than just 2 times. I mean, I knew about the one they talked about last year. And of course, this one this year, a few days ago. But it sounds like in between then, or maybe even before then, she has done something like this before. The female was again charged today with numerous criminal violations and transported to the Metropolitan Police Department. The White House complex has returned to normal operations. The incident took place as 45 was inside the White House after holding a press conference with Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, naturally heightening concerns. Mr. 45 thanked the Secret Service on Twitter for responding. Now, one thing he ain't going to do is call this woman a thug or a terrorist, because she was armed like she was about to shoot somebody. But this right here is another case of white privilege. When they did not give the ethnicity of the woman who did this, when I first found out about this last week, I already knew she was white. Because when this happened with Miriam Carey a couple years ago, they immediately said she was black. Mainstream media gives themselves away for someone like myself and others who can think critically and think quickly when it comes to how they identify people as far as race goes. When they never mention the race, mostly 9 times out of 10, the person is going to be white. If they do mention race, well, it's going to be somebody who's non-white. It's like they can't wait to jump and do something. If this was a black person, they would have said that they were black. If this was an Arab or a Muslim person, they would have said Arab or Muslim, or any other race that was not white. And they treated her just as such because they took her in, even though they've had problems with this woman before in the past. They must enjoy the abuse because she kept coming back. Now, I would like to know, what were the charges that she had against her when she was in Tennessee? Because it says she has a lengthy criminal history in Tennessee, where I'm guessing that's where she's from. Because apparently she was a problem down there, and she's bringing herself as a problem up here. But this is the common thing where they continue to let white people get away with a lot of things, and they don't allow them to hold consequences. I remember it was a tweet that I posted, I think last month, when I was saying when you pretty much have all this privilege in the world, you don't know the definition of consequences because you never had to face any. And it's the truth. Look at all these mass shootings that's happening right now. I just recently did a story where this guy was holding a gun in the picture and saying this is a big giant fuck you to everyone, and they told him that they didn't see him as a threat. I'm like, okay, y'all don't see him as a threat now. Y'all don't see this guy who's holding this big ass gun and saying that this is a giant fuck you to everyone as a threat. But you saw Tamir Rice as a threat. You saw John Crawford as a threat. You see anybody who's identified as black as a threat, and they're not doing anything to harm anyone. But you take her in. You didn't take the guy seriously with the gun in the Snapchat, and you definitely didn't take Nicholas Cruz seriously, which is exactly why that shooting down in Florida happened. If you took it seriously, then those people most likely would still be alive. But see, you give all these white people the benefit of the doubt, and that is what's going to do you in. And at the end of the day, I and many others will feel absolutely nothing about it. Even if you did feel something about it, I still would have felt nothing. I just like saying it. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments.